Right, this one's a reminder of the indices rules. These are not on the formula sheet, you need to know them. They are in your crib sheet pack that I gave you at the end of term. Right, start off with an easy one. X to the 5 multiplied by x to the 7. If I've got the same big numbers here and I'm multiplying, I can just add the powers. So 5 plus 7 is 12. Okay, division. Remember, this line in a fraction just means divided by. So that is the same as p to the 8 divided by p to the 6. When I've got the same big numbers here and I'm dividing, I can just subtract. So 8 take away 6 gives me 2. This one, I've got y squared divided by y to the minus 3. If you want to, you can write out this step again. Now, I've got the same big number and I've got powers here and I'm dividing, so I take away. So I need to do 2 take away negative 3. And if you've watched the negative numbers video I've done, you know when you're taking away a negative, you are in fact adding. So 2 take away negative 3 is 2 plus 3, which is 5. Okay, here we go. A bracket, when you've got a power raised to another power, if you remember, you just multiply them. So that's x to the 2 times 3, which is 6. Here it's exactly the same, but that power of 4 applies to the 2 as well as to the x to the half. So I must apply it to both things in the bracket. So that's 2 to the 4. And then x to the half raised to the power 4. Remember, power raised to a power, you multiply. A half times 4 is 2. Like a half of 4 is 2. And you can either use your calculator or you can work out that 2 to the 4 is actually 16 x squared. But please remember, if you've got two things multiplied together in a bracket and you're raising it to another power, that power must apply to the first thing and to the second thing. Next one are negative powers. Do you remember that negative means 1 over? That negative power means 1 over. So 5 to the negative 1 is 1 over 5. The power's the same, but do you remember anything to the power 1 is itself? So that's just 1 over 5. Let's do the same with this one. Let's deal with the negative first. 1 over. If I see a negative power, it means 1 over. Same big number, same power, just without the negative. And now I know also that 2 cubed is 8, so I can simplify it further to that. So the general rule, if you look at this here, if you have a number to a negative power, it is 1 over the same big number, same power, just without a negative. Right, some fractions. 2 over 3 all squared. We know that means 2/3 times by itself, which is 4/9. So you can see that actually all you need to do is square the top and square the bottom to get your answer. Right, now we've got a fraction with a negative power. Now we know negative means 1 over, as we saw above, but when you do 1 over a fraction, the effect is to flip it upside down. So when you have a negative power on a fraction, you flip it upside down first, and that's dealt with the negative. Now what we have to do is cube the top, which you can use your calculator for if you need to. But 5 cubed is 125, 4 cubed is 64. And you can leave it like that, or the question might ask you to turn it into a mixed number, which is 1 and 61, 64ths. Right, the last thing on powers. Do you remember we got a fraction as a power? You should remember that the fraction of a half is square root. So that means the square root of 36, which you know is 6. Difficulty comes, though, when you've got something that's not a 1 in the top there. we need to split that up. So we know from our raising a power to a power rule, that's the same as 16 to the quarter, all to the power 3. Can you see that when I multiply that out, we know a power raised to a power, I need to multiply those. A quarter times 3 is 3/4. So I'm working backwards to split this up into a quarter there and 3 there. And the reason I want to do that is because if I've got a fraction with a 1 in the top, I know how to deal with that. That means, just like we had here with a 1/2, that means the square root. 1/3 would be a cube root. 1/4 is the 4th root. And you can use your calculator, or you could know that the 4th root of 16 is 2. It's still cubed, and so my answer is 8. In indices questions in your exam, you will need to show all these stages, because they know you can put it in your calculator. So the marks are for the workings, not for the answer. You can, of course, check your answer surreptitiously. They'll never know. Right, let's do one with a negative fraction. So deal with the negative first. Remember, that means 1/. Same big number, same power, just without the negative. Now I need to split this up. Still 1/, and I know that's 8 to the 3rd, all squared, because if I multiply those out, I get my 2/3 again. And, oops, I know 8 to the 3rd is 2, the cube root of 8 is 2. Again, you can use your calculator. And I've still got that squared, so that is just a quarter. Okay.